perfect. Hey guys, welcome to the brand new 2018 BMW X3 M40i. This is the newest car in the M Light lineup, and to me it's probably the least convincing, or at least it was until I was throwing the keys to this one a couple of days ago. And I can't believe what this car does and how capable it is. Now, I'm not a big fan of fast SUVs. I think you have sports cars and you have SUVs, and they're both sort of mutually exclusive. That's not always the case, because we know the Macan is a very good car. The SQ5 wasn't too bad. In fact, the old X3 with the XD3, the Alpina platform, was really good. But I just didn't think that this car was going to be as good as it has been, and I'm genuinely quite blown away by how good this car is. Now, as a sort of everyday proposition, it's very good, and I've done another video with Tony Lewis talking about the practicalities, the options, the price, etc. So find that video link below in the description. This particular video is just going to be on driving dynamics and how, how it handles, how it goes, how it stops, what it's like compared to, say, an M Light. So we're coming up to a nice section of road here, so I'll take it out of comfort and we'll put it into sports plus, and over into manual. And let's just pull out here. So instantly that's given me better throttle response, a heavier steering, stiffer ride. The car just feels a bit more planted. So we'll go into manual as well. Now, let's go down this road. Is quite tight, quite twisty, something that you wouldn't associate it being good with a SUV, but let's have a go. Listen to that. It's so fast. Now, we know it's got the B58 engine, and in this car it's actually tuned to 360 brake horsepower, so about 20 more than the M140 and M240. Oh, it's just great. Oh. It just defies physics, this car. It really does. You shouldn't be able to do that sort of thing in a car that is not only this heavy but also sits up so high. Center of gravity, a high center of gravity is a killer in terms of handling and etc. Now, this thing seems to get around that in the same way that the Macan and the Cayenne does. It really does, and it doesn't feel really artificial like, say, some of the faster Range Rovers do, or other big SUVs, the X5M, the X6M. To me, they feel very artificial. You don't really know where you are with them. You feel very, very removed from the driving experience. With this car, you do feel removed from the driving experience. You're not going to jump into this after being in an M2 or even an M140 or M240 and go, oh wow, this is, it feels amazing. Because you can't. It's taken me a couple of days to sort of learn and understand where its limits are, and just there is a lack of involvement, but it still feels good enough. And once you're used to it, I mean, I'm not really missing much, and it's just bizarre for me. We'll head back down that brilliant section of road. All right, let's pull out of here. And the great thing is, you pull out of a junction, because it's all-wheel drive, it just goes. It really, really goes, this thing. It's just, I can't tell you how fast this car is. I wish I could demonstrate or express it somehow. Now, we're coming back into the de-restriction bit. I've got a car down the road, so I'm just going to let them disappear. Let's talk about the ride quickly. So yeah, ride, when you've got it in comfort, it's good. Now, this car's got the optional 21-inch wheels with run flat tyres, so a bad combination in terms of ride, because you've got very low profile tyres, and that low profile tyre is a run flat, so it's a very sturdy construction, so therefore it really kills the ride. And I have to say, even when this is in comfort, it's not the best ride in the world. Don't think Range Rover ride quality, or even regular X3 or X5 ride quality. It's quite choppy. It's not bad to live with, it's great, but it's not amazing. It's not it's not 5 or 7 series plush. So I would personally go for the 20-inch tire option or wheel option, and yeah, just suck up the looks a little bit in terms of what you'll get back in ride comfort, and probably handling as well. That bit of cushioning will probably give you better traction to a bumpy A and B road. Now, here we go, coming up to this section again. So we're in third. Let's just put my foot down a little bit. Oh, it just takes off. I'm coming down here in a 2-ton SUV. Oh, it's just brilliant. Oh, it's mega, isn't it? Mega. Oh, I can feel all the wheels fighting for grip through there. It's just brilliant. And because I'm sitting up so high, I can see so far ahead of me. I've got such good vision. Now don't get me wrong, I like sitting low. I like being as low as possible in most cars, but I have to say it does have its advantages of being so high, especially on small roads like this. You can kind of see down the road, you can see what's coming, you know, you see any dangers ahead. Oh, it's brilliant. I can feel the back end wanting to step out a little bit there. Oh, and the cracks and pops, listen to it. It's nuts, this thing. It doesn't make sense, you know? That's why I'm laughing, because it doesn't make sense. Listen to that. It's just mega, and it's so fast. Oh, wow. But the brakes are good, you know, as soon as you rest your foot on the brake pedal, you can feel the bite's there. And that gives you encouragement in terms of going fast, you know? It's a nice, satisfying feeling knowing that you've got good brakes and good handling. And yeah, it handles so well. It wants for a bigger road. Now, this one we've been going up and down is not ideal in any car, let alone a car that's this big. Now, talking of size, the current X3, the new X3 as we know it, is actually bigger than the original X5. So that gives you an idea of how big this car is. It's just great, it really is. I would love to be able to put it up against something like an M140 or an M240 just to see if it is as quick. I wouldn't say it's faster, but it certainly feels, especially off the line because of the all-wheel drive traction and because you're sitting so much higher, it just feels faster, it really does. It feels like an absolute rocket ship. And that B58, oh, if you could have that tune in an M140, wow. Right, de-restricted, here we go again. Oh, wow. I hope the mic is picking up the sound as well, because it is better than any M-Lite has ever sounded. Orchestrated or not, who cares? It is just mega. Fuel reserve, I've seen that light come up a few times since I've had this car for 2 days. It's efficient if you're not driving it like an idiot, but now we're coming into a nice right-hander, second gear here. Come in. Oh, and it's just gone, it's just gone. Listen to those gear changes. Even the gearbox feels faster than it does in any other stated tune. There's brilliant ZF8 speed. It probably isn't, but you've got to reset your mind in this car. Oh, it's brilliant. When you really start pushing on, the ride becomes good. So they have set it up for sportiness, you know? Oh, it's just brilliant. It's just excellent. The sounds, the ride. I'm really, really impressed with this car. I'm not just saying it. I know I get impressed by a lot of things, but I think I'm more impressed with this car because I wasn't expecting to be impressed by the drive. I reviewed it with Tony recently doing a walk around, and the sound and everything there, the package was there, but I just didn't expect it to come together in the way that this car has. And I'm really, really genuinely impressed with this car. You know, we're on, I think they're Bridgestone run flat tyres, but you know, they're not particularly amazing, but even with those tyres and very little cushioning in the tyres, it just seems to ride very well when you push on. It really does handle extremely well, and when we put it back into comfort and back into normal drive, it just settles down, becomes quiet, the valves close in the exhaust, and it becomes a normal X3 all of a sudden. Yes, with a slightly edgier ride, you do feel all the imperfections in the road because the tyres are wider than on a normal X3 rather, but it's just brilliant. It's a car with two characters, and I think especially in this Tony Lewis special colour, I don't know what it's called, is it champagne quartz or something? It's a very unassuming car. You know, if it was black on black or whatever, then yes, it might look a bit sportier and people might see the badge and go, oh, it's something quite special and the big blue brakes. But in this colour combination, it really does kind of blend in as, you know, almost any X3 out there. But trust me, if you see one of these at a set of traffic lights and you're thinking about racing it, really have second thoughts, because it is seriously, seriously quick, especially that initial sort of 0 to 40 miles an hour, 0 to 50 miles an hour. But saying that, doesn't seem to back down after that. It just has so much torque and so much power. It likes, however they've mapped this B58, it likes to rev out more, a bit like the N55 used to do. So they've really calibrated this B58 so well, and I wish that that calibration was in the M lights. Maybe it will be eventually. Someone on Instagram actually said to me, do you think they'll have a swan song sort of M140, you know, right at the end of their lineup? Will they bring out an M140i Plus or something with this power tune? Because wow, it's if it can hustle this much weight around in the way that it does, I can't imagine what that would be like in an M140 or an M240. It would just be insane. I mean, it would embarrass M2s in terms of straight line pace. So yeah, really well done, BMW. I think you've built a very, very promising car, a very convincing car here. And I'm not an SUV lover, but this is a special car. It really is. It's somehow very practical, very SUV, but yet it can still be fun and give you some enjoyment. Right then guys, hopefully you enjoyed that X3 M40i review. Hopefully next time I can get an M140i to sort of put it against, because I'm sure there'll be... Oh, wait a second. Who's that coming into shot? That looks very like my mate John Holbrook. Well, the video might not be over. Maybe we can do some side-by-side safety comparison tests. Mate, what are the odds of seeing you down here? Honestly, I mean,
it's been months.
It has been months. And I think a lot of you might recognise John Holbrook from a really old video we did.
M135 versus M135.
That's the one.
Auto.
Manual auto. That would have been 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So John's a proper M-Light lover. What have you had?
An M240, an M135, an M135.
And an M140.
And an M140.
So your one at the moment, let's spin around so we can have that in the background. This one, talk us through it. So what is this one?
This is a new Shadow Edition. So it's got the smoke lights, it's got the darker wheels.
Yep.
All the extra bits, and then pretty basic spec, heated seats, pro nav.
Maybe we could utilise your knowledge and see what you think of the X3 M40i. I'd quite like to take you out for a quick drive in that and see if you genuinely think it's quite fast. Yep. And then I wouldn't mind doing some safety comparison drag races.
Of course, in the interest of science.
In the interest of science.
My car's a little bit lighter, yours got a little bit more power, so...
Well, that's it, and I honestly think, you'll see what I mean, that thing, the X3 feels so fast, but I think a lot of that has got to do with the all-wheel drive traction, so off the line it really launches, but, yeah. But also the fact that it is so big. When you're in a big car that's sitting quite high, they do genuinely feel, or generally feel a bit quicker because they're sitting higher.
A bit more detached from the,
exactly.
From the experience.
Yeah, so yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, let's jump in and see what you think.
Okay.
Cool. Right then, we've now got John in the X3 M40i, and we're about to go for a little hoon down some country lanes. John, this is your first versional experience of the X3 M40i?
It is. I heard it's got a good kick up the arse.
It has indeed.
Especially when Joe plants his foot.
Which I never do, obviously.
Of course not.
I'm a very conservative driver. We're about to go up a nice little sort of twisty bit of road and then hopefully find some more sort of open stuff to demonstrate higher speeds. But yeah, I'm really impressed with this car, and I think what impresses me most is how it utilises the B58, because you and I know how great that engine is in the M lights, but we also know how blunted it is in some of the heavier cars, especially the 540i, even the 440i Grand Coupe. It feels a bit sort of diluted, but in this version it's just mega.
This feels like an M140 on acid.
Doesn't it? And the chances are it's probably actually no quicker than an M140 in a straight line, like we're about to find out. But it does feel quicker, I think, because we're sitting higher, and it just feels silly, doesn't it? Like, it does. It's different. Like, it's hard to explain. So we're going on now. In fact, we're in a de-restricted bit. Terrible surface. It's damp and there's building work. So in an M like here, you would just light it up through first, second, and probably third, right? Yeah. The traction issues. But in this one, I'm going to hold it on the brakes and then go. And I mean,
it's strong. That's so strong.
So strong. And it just keeps going. And listen to that sound as well. I mean, it's just, you get some lovely pops and bangs when you lift off. It's just, even in fourth or fifth you get it, you know, like, let's try the brakes on the same surface. I mean, that's mega, isn't it?
They work. I've been through the windscreen. It looks good from the outside.
And you can feel, I can feel the ABS working there, but I can feel it adjusting. And for such a heavy object, for such a high, it's just naughty. Like,
just a rude
just
pop.
Come off the throttle, and you just get the lovely rude pops. Oh! I'll put the rear windows down. Now this has got the optional 21s that I talked about earlier on, and I think this car with the 20s on it would give you just that much better ride.
Yeah.
I think you also then lose the run flats, which again would give you a better ride.
And you get the Pilot Super Sports.
I believe so, yeah. So, you know, the combination of non-run flats and those better tyres are just going to improve everything. Now, the only problem is when you do downsize with the tyres or the wheels is, I think the 21s, they already look borderline just about right. They just fill the arches.
Yeah.
So the 20s, although I know the tyre's going to be bigger, but the actual wheel itself might look a bit small. And I know that sounds ridiculous, 20-inch wheels looking too small, but that gives you an idea of how much the X3 has grown. You know, it's a big car, and maybe it's just because we're in this Tony Lewis special colour that the car probably looks a bit bigger in this colour. It's one of, you know, I think
you can see the gaps, can't you? I think
you can see, exactly, you can see the gaps of the dark wheel arches and the darker wheels. It kind of accentuates those areas, but yeah, I would like to try one on the stock wheels, because I'm pretty positive, as with most cars, you know, the stock wheels are always going to offer you a better ride, and in most cases better handling in the UK, because a bit more compliance in the tyre, etc., which I go on about a lot in my videos. But yeah, this car is, I think it's a brilliant piece of kit for the money. Let's whack it back into sport again as we come into a de-restricted bit. So down into second now. Get a few crackles and pops.
Do I need to hold on?
What's that?
Do I need to hold on?
Oh, you can hold on a bit if you want, yeah. Alright, and it revs all the way out to 7. And then you just touch the limiter there. But when you come off, it's really racy, the way it kind of like, it's not even the overrun as I get taken out by a truck. It's like you come off, and the way it revs out, it sounds, to me it sounds better than the B58 in the M lights. It seems to rev cleaner.
It does.
And like to rev as well. It sounds like it's really happy right
I think you said to me before I got the 140 going from the 135 that the B58 doesn't sound like it wants to rev out as much. And I've noticed that you put your foot down, you get past 4,000 or 5,000 revs, and it just sounds a bit restricted. It doesn't really want to go any further. You've used all of the power.
Exactly.
There's no benefit to staying in that gear.
There's not, almost like a powerful diesel in the sense that, you know, you get to 4.5, and then it's like, I might as well short shift here anyway. Oops. So yeah, we'll just go down here one last time. Just, it really is. Every time I put my foot down, I've had this car a couple of days, and every time I put my foot down, I'm surprised by the pickup and the pace that it goes, and I just think it's brilliant.
I think if you're coming out of an X3 20D,
and you jumped
into this. I mean, obviously, if you went from a 120D to a 140, you'd be massively surprised.
Yeah.
But you don't expect it in this. You don't expect a car like this to drive like this. It's not a Porsche Macan.
No.
It's not.
It doesn't. The thing with the Porsche Macan is, you know, I drove one in Australia, and you know, it was incredible, and I was expecting it to be incredible. I'd read that it was incredible, but it looks, when you look at a Macan, it looks like it should be more like a sports car than SUV, because it sits low, all the weight's down low. You look at this and it doesn't necessarily look like it should handle or go fast, but it does. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I think the next thing we need to do now is do a couple of side-by-side comparisons with your M140.
I agree. Safety tests.
Safety tests, yes. Try second gear. So second gear from 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we get going,
Yeah.
your thing definitely starts gaining. Perfect. Oh, you're going! Oh, yes! Right, let's turn left and call it a day.
Yeah.
Nice one, John, that was perfect. The M140 and therefore 240 is definitely quicker once it gets going. It has obvious traction issues. Now, that last run that we just did was very close, and John's rear tyres would have had some heat in them, so they would have had a decent amount of grip, but this thing still launched better. I think we launched very similarly then, like almost identical, but it was very impressive. I tell you what, when I know how fast those cars are, to keep up with them in the manner that this thing just did, I mean, hats off. Well done, BMW. This is now, we know it is a confirmed quick car. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed my X3 M40i review. Big thanks to my buddy John. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
And yeah, please give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, because I certainly enjoyed making it. Make sure you subscribed for more content like this. And also, if you're interested in an X3 M40i or any BMW for that matter, obviously make sure you hit Tony Lewis up. I'll put his email address below and he will send you a very happy, hopefully happy quote. Cool guys, take it easy. See you at the next one.